Welcome back to the Now Morning Show. It is now 20 minutes after the hour of 6 a.m. on a beautiful Tobago Thursday morning. And I am Kimberly D'Souza in your company, of course. And right now we're switching gears a bit. We're going to be talking a bit about World Down Syndrome Day, of course, which takes place on March 21st. But before that, we're going to be talking to the founder of a company called Ties and Nuts Foundation. We're going to be talking about a partnership that he has with another group that advocates for the rights of people with disabilities. So on Zoom with me, I have Mr. Akeil Andrews. Mr. Andrews, good morning and welcome to the Now Morning Show.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, how are you this morning?
I'm good. How about you?
And not too bad. All right, Aki, well, let's jump right in. Can you tell us a little bit about the Ties and Nuts Foundation?
All right, so my business was launched in May of 2018, right? So it's a male accessory line. So I sell ties, socks, tie pins, cufflinks, right? And the business would have grown so much in the past 4 years, right? So last year, 2021, I would have collaborated with the Peters Family Foundation regarding the Rock Your Socks campaign, which is geared toward raising awareness for persons with Down syndrome, right? Now, on March 21st, every year, we celebrate persons with Down syndrome by wearing colorful socks, sometimes mismatched socks, by just raising awareness and bringing persons, to pay tribute to them basically by wearing the socks, the mismatched socks.
Nice. Now, you said that you have a partnership with the Peters Family Foundation. How did that partnership come about? Was it that you reached out to them or they reached out to you?
All right. So I know Jessel Peters. He's a family friend, right? I would have known him since I was a child. And his family, they own the Peters Family Foundation. I think it was launched by his mom a couple of years ago, right? And they actually have a Down syndrome member of their family, which is Jeremy, right? And Jeremy's in his 30s now. So I would have reached out to them because they would usually do a lot of charity events and stuff like that. And I would have reached out to them last year because I wanted to do more. Because even before last year, I would have had the Rock Your Socks campaign in 2019 and 2020. And, I wanted to do something different last year whereby I could have given back financially to the NGO so that they would be able to assist persons with Down syndrome and all other disabilities, because there are a lot of families with persons with disabilities and they are unable to really do much because of the fact that they don't have the financial capabilities to handle certain stuff. So I wanted to be a part of that. So I reached out to them and, the rest is just history.
Nice. Now, in terms of the partnership, is it that you partner with them to raise awareness, or is it that you supply some of your socks to them? Like, get a little bit more detailed into how the partnership works.
All right, so the partnership basically works well. I own the Ties and Nuts company, and I supply these socks. Right, so what I do, proceeds from my sales, I donate to the Peters Family Foundation, and they will then do their part in assisting any other person with any disability. Because that NGO actually deals with Down syndrome or any other disability such as autism or any other stuff like that, right? So that is just my way of giving back to that community, right? This year, I would have partnered with a young lady called Gabrielle Wood. She's actually 11 years old, in addition to Jeremy Peters, who is the face of the Peters Family Foundation, right? As you can see, Gabby is in the photo there, right? So we would have done a photo shoot sometime in February at the Magdalena Field, right, on the greens. And Gabby really, I would say she changed my life because as an 11-year-old, she's so brave, she's brilliant, she loves the camera, whereas versus Jeremy, who is more subtle, so it really gave me more insight to persons with Down syndrome and other disabilities because we tend to put those persons down a bit. But, after working with Gabby, I realized that you're just so full of life. Not everyone with a disability is the same because, like, for example, with Jeremy, he's nonverbal, whereas with Gabby, she could speak, she could laugh, she could talk, she could do anything. So they are different, and I was able to bring a greater appreciation when I brought the two of them together. So my collaboration with the Peters Family Foundation is to raise awareness, but I also do a financial aspect as well, where I would contribute to the foundation from the proceeds from the actual Rock Your Socks campaign that we have from Ties and Nuts.
Wow, that is amazing. Well, let's jump into the Rock Your Socks campaign. Tell us a little bit about it.
All right, so on March 21st, every year, the World Down Syndrome Day is celebrated, right? So the world is watching. This year, the theme is inclusion means, right? So the theme basically is just trying to bring, as I said, awareness to the world, and by including these persons with Down syndrome and all of the disabilities as a part of our day-to-day lives, right? So, for example, outside of Trinidad and Tobago, you would see persons with Down syndrome actually working in offices. Victoria's Secret actually just signed that Down syndrome model for the first time. You would see them getting married abroad and that kind of thing. So it's really our way of including them. They said the theme is inclusion means. So it's including them in our day-to-day lives. Not because they have a disability, it doesn't mean that they can't contribute to society. They can't actively contribute to society, because they work in social work field or they work in any other field that is, right? So it's important that we, of course, bring awareness to them this year. As I said, it's on March 21st, you rock your socks, and we basically pay homage to them.
Right. Now, are there any other groups or organizations that you may partner with in the future?
Of course, I am also learning as well. I'm still in the learning process. I know about the Peters Family Foundations for sure, right? But I would love to partner with any other organization, whether it is in Tobago or Trinidad or even in the outer world, right? So it's not just limited to the Peters Family Foundation. I'm in the learning process, and hopefully by this interview, persons could reach out to me if they are aware of any other NGO that deals with Down syndrome or any other disability. I would appreciate that.
Now, Mr. Andrews, you did mention the fact that, abroad inclusion looks different, right? Some people with Down syndrome have been working and that kind of thing. Do you think we have the infrastructure here for that? And is there anything you can tell to any government organization who may be watching right now?
Well, I think it's important that we include them. I think most schools need to be involved in how to deal and how to treat with them, right? Because yes, we have schools with disabilities that will deal with persons with that type of extra chromosome or whatever it is. But I think that it needs to start at a younger age, because the younger we really get the persons with the disabilities and with Down syndrome involved, it's easier for the parents, it's easier for the school teachers, it's easier for us, And I think that in Trinidad and Tobago, I'm not sure in the outer world, but I know with me working with or raising awareness, what happens is that what I realize is that a lot of persons shelter their kids. They shelter them because, of course, of the fear of persons being unkind, to them. So I think that it needs to be a conversation that we could start with from as early as babies, and teaching them the speech therapy and that kind of thing, so that when they are older, then they can be included in regular things just like us. So it really starts from the parents and then them collaborating with any other person.
Nice. Interesting. Now, what sort of impact do you think your foundation and the Peters Family Foundation have had on the local Down syndrome groups or even in society?
All right. So for me, since I would have launched this campaign in the last, well, I would say last 2 years, 2021 and this year, a lot of persons would have reached out to me, because the company ties on us has grown so much between the last 2 years. So much so that this year I included someone else, as I said, Gabrielle Woods and her family, right? And it has definitely grown. Persons are reaching out. What I have also doing and what I also decided to do is, in addition to selling socks, and putting that on my social media pages, I would also include photos of Gabrielle and Jeremy that from the shoot, and I would, explain to persons, what they love to do. Because as I said, persons tend to put them in a box and think that they can't do anything. And I also decided to give more information on Down syndrome, to make the wider public more knowledgeable. So for the past 2 weeks, I've shared, that persons with Down syndrome, they have an extra chromosome, which is chromosome 21. And then I also shared about the date celebrated and that kind of thing. So this year I also spoke about the inclusion means and how we can do our part in including them in day-to-day activities, such as going to the gym and playing sports and that kind of thing. So Since then, I have done my part, and I think that the island of Tobago and Trinidad and Tobago, because I have my customer, I would have shipped socks to Trinidad so far as well too. So they are learning as they go along based on the information put out there on the page. And I just want to continue to do my part in addition to collaborating with the foundation as well.
Right. Now, I'm glad that you mentioned, doing your part, because Mr. Andrews, I think you and the Peters Family Foundation are doing so much. I'm just wondering how the public can lend support to this initiative.
All right, so what they can simply do, of course, you purchase the socks from Ties and Nuts, right? You can hit up the social media pages, Ties and Nuts on Facebook and Ties and Nuts on Instagram. You can call me, 475-9632, or you could also send a WhatsApp and we'll be able to make arrangements for delivery or collection. Today, we actually have a pop-up at the Peters business, which is in Sangsassil. And we also have some of the socks being sold at Ted Arthur's flagship store on Portmore in Scarborough, which is on the second level, right? So once you purchase the socks prices range between 65 and 70. And I have kid socks as well that range from 40 and 45, right? And when you purchase, of course, as I said, proceeds from every sale will then go toward the Peters Family Foundation so that they can, of course, assist family members or any other person with Down syndrome or any other disability that they are unable to financially take care of themselves and that kind of thing. So it's important that we do that because persons with disabilities, as you know, they require a lot. And not every family has that sort of financial assistance to really cater toward their children or their family member with a disability. I know the government does their part in terms of giving the government grants and the government assistance, but that could only go so much.
And Mr. Andrews, I know there's a unique spelling to Ties and Nuts. So just for people who may be listening, can you just tell us what exactly we're looking for on Instagram? Can you spell the nuts for us or the entire word, in fact?
Right. So on Instagram, it's Ties and Nuts. So TIESNKNOTTS. And on Facebook, it's just Ties and Nuts.
Nice. And for your Trinidad customers who may be wanting to purchase socks, is it that TT Post delivers or how can we go about getting a pair?
Yes. I have Trinidad customers, right? So my business has grown so much as I would have previously stated. So what I usually do, I do a TT Post delivery to them. So they would send their address and I would just head to TT Post and we would ship the package down to them.
Nice. Mr. Andrews, let me thank you so much for joining us on the Now Morning Show. And finally, anything else you want to add before we actually wrap?
All right, so thank you for having me. And I would just like to, encourage everyone to rock your socks on Monday, 21st March, 2022, because it's our way of paying homage to these persons with Down syndrome. And I wouldn't even call it Down Syndrome Day, but I would call it World Disability Day, because it's important that we pay homage to everyone, with a disability. And it's just so simple. Rock your socks and continue to do your part, because, after Monday, they go back into their regular lives. But I think it's important that we continue to raise that awareness and let everyone know that they are part of the world and be kind. Because they have an extra chromosome, and I believe that extra chromosome is extra love because they are so loving. So thank you for having me.
I'll hold on to that. Extra chromosome is extra love because they're extra loving. Yes. I like that. Mr. Andrews, thank you so much for joining us. That was Mr. Akeil Andrews, who's the founder of the Ties and Nuts Foundation. And he's also partnering with the Peters Family Foundation for a Rock Your Socks campaign. Of course, it is the because of World Down Syndrome Day, of course, on March 21st.